My great pleasure to introduce Joanne, Reverend Joanne. Faith is her name. And she's going to speak on rising from pieces into peace. Right?
And isn't that a good title for Reverend Joanne? Faith, peace, and love, Boruck?
Because that's who you are.
Thank you, Donna. Am I turned on? Woohoo! Good morning, beautiful. Oh, thank you. I truly mean it. You are all so beautiful. And thank you for being in this peaceful place. As I open my peaceful heart, my peaceful mind, and invite you to join me in an opening affirmative prayer by gently closing your eyes and going to that deep place within that's untouched and sacred. Take 3 or 4 deep cleansing breaths. And just bring all your parts back, all your pieces into your heart. With each exhale, let go of more thoughts of yesterday and tomorrow. The only pieces that matter are the now. As I speak these words of affirmative prayer, spiritual mind treatment, I speak them in the first person, knowing they are the truth for each person here who claims this, and those online. There is one Spirit, God, Creator. It's all around. It's in us and through us, as us. And that is the truth. And in that truth, we are all one. We are created for a purpose, on purpose. And that is to live a life in peace and joy and love. I affirm and know that the original essence is love, peace, and joy. From the moment we took our first breath, that's who we were, and then collectively we began to forget our oneness. As we continued for many years with that thought in mind, until one day we came to know that as a collective we breathe, collectively we grieve, therefore collectively we love, and collectively we find peace. With loving thanks, knowing that I am not alone, I am supported and I am understood at a deep, deep level by all those in my life and in my world. I'm so grateful for this teaching, that there is a power for good in the universe greater than we are, and we can use it for good. And we do. Oh, and I'm grateful for my friends and my family, for everyone here today. And as I express gratitude, more returns to me, overflowing my love consciousness until it flows out into the world around me. As collectively we let this go, knowing it is done, returned and multiplied, and today we say, and so it is. Let's take a moment of peace to send loving thoughts to all those who need to know their oneness with all of us. Thank you. I try to start when I write a talk with one statement. So when I was writing this one, I wrote, have you ever felt like your world was falling into pieces and you didn't know what to do? Well, I'm sure we've all had days like that. And today I want to share some tools and some thoughts from my spiritual toolbox and Science of Mind spiritual toolbox so we can take those pieces and put them together into peace, revealing deep inner peace. And I'd like you to repeat this affirmation after me. It says, I easily tune into the peace at the center of my soul. I easily tune into the peace at the center of my soul. Okay, thank you. So, good morning. When everything's falling into place, do you recognize it, or do you just think, oh, that's a piece and that's a piece? Well, what you have to do is honor those pieces, show gratitude for those pieces, and pretty soon they start fitting together like a beautiful jigsaw puzzle or a quilt. You know, when we think about pieces, that comes from an illusion of separation. There's no peace in our world if we're separate. Spiritual tools and wisdom help us to awaken and rise into our truth. Dr. Ernest Holmes says, peace is always at the center of our soul. Wow, that's pretty easy to remember. In the inside is peace. We want to wear that on the outside. Peace and harmony. That's what we want. And spiritual tools and toolbox for life can help us in our personal and collective experience of peace. Now, I can give you all the tools you need for your toolbox. Affirmative prayer is the greatest tool you'll ever have in your toolbox, but I can't make you unlock it. I have a toolbox at home that I've had for a couple of generations. My grandpa gave it to my brother, gave it to me, I gave it to my son, he gave it to his daughter. And it's a toolbox of things. It's not a fishing toolbox. It's not a toolbox. It's just amazing the things that are in there. And so as I was thinking of our toolbox, I thought, my grandpa didn't know he was giving my son a toolbox of personal tools to help him with life. So through this whole month, we're talking about peace. Collective peace, how to cultivate peace, how to have peace in our community, peace in our world, peace in our family. And it's what Nelson Mandela says, be the peace you want to see in the world. But first we're going to talk about what is not peace, because that's the pieces we're talking about. And Ernest Holmes again says in a quote, and peace is what we can do to be filled with peace. Whatever we need is truly transformed into inner peace. So he says PIECE and PEACE are all part of the same equation. It's what you do with that peace that you have. I want to read a quote from Ernest Holmes' talk in November 1954. It's called The Peace That Conquers. He says, you and I know that no matter how confused we are, if we get by ourselves long enough and think peace, we'll become peace. Peace is a divine reality at the heart of God. It's an announcement of the presence of Spirit. Spirit is peace. In the Bible, Jesus said, my peace I leave you with. My peace I give to you. And it wasn't a thing. It wasn't a rock. Gandhi even understood this. He says that understanding is the only thing that will bring about peace. Wow. He probably wrote that many, many years ago, and here we are. That's still what we need. Understanding is the only thing that will bring about peace. So if we want peace on earth, let's pray for peace. But not on earth. Let's pray for peace in our hearts. And let's affirm peace in our minds. And let's live as peace. Because that's the mandate that Gandhi was talking about. Let us out of the stillness of our own reachable presence, which is peace, and proclaim it, even in the midst of confusion, is the power at the heart. So when you're not in your heart, that's a good indication that you're in the PIECE place and not the PEAC place. Got to tell you a story about Ava. You know, she comes here a lot, and she's getting older now and doesn't want to get up early. Not she doesn't want to come. She just wishes we started later. So her mom and dad were having an argument or something, and Sarah, I guess, said to Corey, "Oh, I'm recorded. She'll never watch it." She says, "All I want is some peace." And Ava goes up to him. She goes, "Mom, at the church they say peace begins in your own heart." She phones me. She goes, "Well, that's fine and dandy." So I was just really moved that she remembered that she'd heard that. And she took that to my daughter. And even though she was pretty taken aback, that was this 8-year-old telling her what to do, I'm sure something inside of her changed. And when I talk about what's not peace, I bring that up because you have to know when you're not at peace in order to find peace. You have to be not at peace to have a spiritual awakening. Everybody here had a spiritual awakening. Some had a near-death experience. Lots had that. As I look out around here, they say you don't get to that elevated consciousness unless you've had a crisis, physical, mental, emotional. So we've all had an awakening, I call it, and we rose up in search of inner peace. Life seems like it's happening to us, and sometimes we feel like victims. And when that happens, that's when we're separate. We live unconsciously. We forget our oneness, and we feel separate from everyone and everything. And I know that's true, because when you're sad or you're suffering some depression, you feel so alone. And even if somebody says to you, "I know what you mean," you're calling them BS. I call BS. Nobody knows. But I'm telling you, we've all been there. We've all felt it. We all have those pieces of what's not peace to create peace. Well, not peace. It also means when you react to something or somebody triggers you or there's an event in your world on TV or something going on in your lives. I mean, there is a lot of things out there to make us be not at peace. So it's like we're swimming upstream, but we have a power for good in the universe greater than we are. We can swim upstream until we get to the place where we've turned that stream around and we're in the flow. And let's take everybody with us. And I don't want you to feel overwhelmed when you're not at peace. I want you to look at it. You know, I was trying to think of an example when I experienced not peace. And it wasn't that I couldn't think of one. It was that I couldn't think of just one. And then I thought, well, I don't know which one to tell them about. I mean, I'm 68. I've had a lot of not peaceful moments. But I was thinking to more recently on what brought me here. So the greatest example I have of not peace was when I didn't think I was worthy of peace. I think it was the biggest challenge and confusion for me that blocked my peace was not feeling worthy of peace. You know, for the longest time, even though on the outside I've been living a spiritual life for a long time, doing things like Reiki and crystals and all kinds of stuff. But on the inside, I felt like I was faking it. And I always thought, someday somebody's going to notice. I'm pretty together on the outside, and in the inside, there's a whole bunch of fractured pieces trying to find their way home to my heart. And I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was something I did. I'm pretty sure it was coming here. One day I woke up and I thought, holy crap, the inside's as peaceful as the outside, and I'm not a fake. I think there's some truth to Ernest Holmes when he says, act believing it's so, and it will be. Before I found this philosophy, we used to call it fake it till you make it. And I never really resonated with that until it really happened to me. I believed it, I believed it, I believed it. And as I was saying it, people would see it in me, and it was growing. All those pieces that weren't fitting together all became harmonious and smooth, and all started fitting together. the pieces of the puzzle that weren't fitting into my vision of peace began to change. And I had to go look for some new pieces. All of you here are pieces in my puzzle. And I had to change some of the pieces that I had inside and take a little file and file down the edges, take off the anchor so they'd fit. So exploring what peace is not can help us wake up to the truth of what peace is. And when you acknowledge that peace is within us, then nobody can take it away from you. That's it. It's yours. We can access it whenever we need it, especially when we're having a not peaceful day. It moves us from being separate from the world to being one with the world. And I want you to just close your eyes for a moment as I read this message from Ernest Holmes. Peace is a state of inner calm, an inner feeling so complete that nothing can disturb it. The peace which comes only from this knowledge, but is still fathomless, that these pieces were meant to be the peace of the Spirit. This is the peace which Jesus referred to when he said, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you." The infinite is always at peace because there's nothing outside of it. Realization of our oneness with omnipotence, omnipresence brings peace. The peace which is accompanied by a consciousness of power. Deeply feel that. Thank you. You can open your eyes. Wow, peace is accompanied by a consciousness of power. Well, that's enough for me to want to make sure that I'm having not too many not peaceful moments. You know, there's another emergency plan sometimes that you can use for turning pieces into peace. And it's called STOP. There is no acronym for it. I tried to think. It's SDP, but that sounded too much like something else. So I had STOP. That's what I wanted to say. Just stop what you're doing without judgment. If you're not feeling peaceful, Helena got that. And turn away from the condition. If something happening that's not very peaceful, for example, I was driving to Red Deer yesterday, to Costco. Highway 2 was so busy, I was so stressed, I was so not at peace. And I just stopped my brain and said, "What are you doing?" When I got to Black Falls, I took the turn off and took 2A the rest of the way to Red Deer. So whenever something's happening that's impacting your peace, just stop. Acknowledge it and decide what you're going to do about it. Turn away from that condition. And you know, sometimes you can't go around it, but in your mind you can turn away from it. And after you stop, you have to drop. Not drop to your knees. Drop from here to here. Carmen says, that's the longest 12 inches you'll ever go, from here to here. So stop and drop. Well, that sounds like a fire drill, doesn't it? Stop, drop, and roll. But no, the last one I have is pray. Do affirmative prayer treatment. Pray for what you want to happen. In that instant, you know, and the traffic was so crazy, and I just stopped. And I went into my heart, and it said, get off this road. So I took the road into Black Falls and took 2A. And as I was going there, I was thinking, oh, the road is paved with gold. Sometimes I like to imagine my car's enveloped in like an egg of light, and I'm burning no gas. Just floating above. Hasn't worked yet, but I'm working on that. So do an affirmative prayer, because you can stop and you can drop, but you have to have an action to take you out of that place. And that is affirming, what do you want? You know what you don't want. You know what's not peace. And if you go into your heart where peace is undisturbed and always is, that's where your answer is. What do you want to go? Somebody wants Helena very urgently. So pray knowing only good and greater good is unfolding. I love that part of spiritual mind treatment, to say, I want this or something better. And I know that greater good is unfolding. Wow, that could just be the three things. Stop, check out your heart, and say, something great is happening right now. Something for my greater good. Something greater than I am. Because there's a power greater than I am in the universe, and I can use it. But that's a lot to think about. Really, I just want you to think of a quick affirmation. Maybe it's only that affirmation I did at the beginning. I easily tune into that peace at the center of my soul. Maybe that's all you need. Stop, drop. I tune into the peace that's at the center of my soul. Where was I? That is so good. Gee, Joanne, I'm so happy you thought of that. Ernest Holmes, he talks a lot about peace in every book. He talks about peace being our birthright. Peace is something at the center of our soul. And in this thing called you, he talks about peace from confusion that I thought was really important. So I want you to make this your truth. I am surrounded by peace. You can say that with me. I am surrounded by peace. I am immersed in peace. There is nothing but peace. Peace, deep, calm, undisturbed. Peace, deep, calm, undisturbed. When the world feels like it's fractured into pieces, go to that deep place. Stop. Turn away from the confusion. Drop into your heart. And affirm what you want to change that condition. And use this whenever peace happens. And cultivate peace every day by using the science of mind, spiritual mind principles and tools. God is, and so am I. And I affirm and know peace is at the center of my soul. And I'm grateful, and I let it go. I am surrounded by peace. I am immersed in peace. There is nothing but peace. Deep, calm, undisturbed. Thich Nhat Hanh says, every breath we take, every step we make can be filled with peace, joy, and serenity. I know that's true because I've read it in every book in so many different ways. Every day can be filled with peace, joy, and serenity. And of course, when I was looking online, what are the other ways we can find peace? They were all the same. Meditation, we all know that. Reading, uplifting, spiritual wisdom. There's even lots of apps online. When I searched how to find inner peace, I was shocked at how many apps are out there for inner peace. What does that tell us? People are making money off this not peace, guys. We got to find our own peace and save that money. But the greatest one might be just going for a walk, walking in nature. If any of you are Carmen's friend on Facebook, what a beautiful sunset with Miracle and her dog. It was so beautiful. That was a peaceful moment. It was nice. So as we leave here today, I affirm and know all of creation was created in peace. That's the natural order of life. And because I know that I'm one with the creation, because I'm always creating, that my key ingredient is peace and love. I take the time for myself when I'm feeling confused. I stop. I turn away from the condition. I drop into my heart. And I do an affirmation for what I want to experience. With loving thanks for this message today, for the ability to grow in consciousness and in peace. I let this go, knowing it's so, and so it is. It gives me great pleasure to tell you that I have discovered myself. Did you notice my name was backwards? I did it twice. Helena says to me, you must be on a journey of self-discovery. Wasn't that great? So I think, now that I've delivered that message, I feel like I learned something about myself. Thank you, Helena, for that wise, wise words. Love you too. I am Reverend Joanne, faith, peace, and love, Boruck. And I'm not speaking for 3 weeks.